So my early day consisted of running with the doggies and then had a shower and thought I was a pro getting ready for you. You messaged me to say it was 11. I got some rollers in. And it's just as well, you messaged me about, what was it, about 25 to 10. I know,
Yeah.
I know. And I was like, it's good job I'm pissed. So how's your early day gone so far?
Well, Tom got up at 5, but I thought it was 7. So I went back to sleep because I felt tired. And then I had a dream that I had an argument with Katy Perry because she didn't do my tattoo. What's that about? Who knows? Um, and then I snuck back into her house and she had 5 kids that she was stood at the bus stop with. And I was painting one of her kids' bedrooms bright yellow. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so
Maybe she needed a bit of sunshine.
yeah, maybe she did.
Well, maybe she needs a bit of sunshine in her life.
Yeah, I reckon. So then I kept, when you nod off and wake up and nod off and wake up, because I kept thinking I was late to get up to see Tom before he went to work. But it was still like super early. So my head's a bit not with it yet. So yeah, it's been a weird morning.
No. So we said that we do these like every week, didn't we? And I think the reason being is like we needing to get our inner wisdom out. And I know you've got loads of inner wisdom, haven't you? And I know that that'll spark it in with me. Do you know what I mean? Because I've had a
Yeah.
few things come through and stuff. I think we touched a little bit on it last week, didn't we? But so I thought I'd call this like a title of Art of Nature.
I like
I've got a friend who talks like that. He goes, Art of Nature.
Oh, does it?
Barrett. So thumbs up, Barrett. So how did you, I mean, we all kind of start off with being a child and that first element of being in nature, but what kind of sparked the interest more than anything with you? Can you remember
Um,
the earliest time?
I think just be my parents. I think being
Yeah.
in the garden. My dad grew veg and fruit. My mum grew loads of flowers and knew about them all and all the plants. So it was back then, it's the 70s, isn't it? So it was like there was no internet or computers or devices. You just went and played in the garden, and we had loads of different pets. And my dad helped the park keeper with the ducks that got injured. So we had ducks in the back garden, like a duck hospital. And so I think, yeah, just that connection. I think from being little, I think it was just there, and it was just natural. I don't remember my first thing of nature. It's almost like it's always been in me. I have got a photograph of me as a baby my mum had a Silver Cross pram, and I'm in the park under all the trees and all the leaves are dappled, over in the
Yeah.
sunshine, and I'm like giggling with my little hands up. Um, and my mum used to take me to the park and the beach. That's what we did because they didn't have any money,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
didn't go to the amusements or anything like that. It was all just getting outside, really.
That's it. And I actually haven't got any of your beautiful art, but you do the most beautiful, gorgeous, and that's why I love it because it's so vibrant. And this is testament to it as well. This backdrop here is what Ruby did, and all my little banners and headers and business things. And you do that. I don't know if you still do it.
No, I've stopped doing client work in the way of doing designs for people, because what I found was I was doing loads of client work, which was fantastic, but I didn't have any time to do my own work. And I feel at this season, I just want to do painty, textury, hands-on stuff instead of digital stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe in winter
yeah,
I'll go back to that when it's a bit
yeah,
dark. But yeah.
yeah. I know about like when I started doing my art and then a little bit into it, probably within the last I'd say 4 years previous, I was getting, I mean, I don't follow trends, but it's like I was just getting texture. People like to touchy feely to make your art kind of touchy feely. Do you know what I mean? I guess
Yeah.
I've been doing that with mine. But I think what I wanted to touch on with bringing art to nature, because obviously you do, I do, and what I love about yours is you've done a lot from nature. Do you remember when you did that where you zoomed in on the micro, is it?
Yeah.
I can't. That's it, macrocosms and microcosms. But it's really interesting that, because when you start looking into that, it kind of, this is when you realize that universe is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're like little mini universes
Yeah,
within
yeah,
the bigger universe. Oh, I love it. I still do that now. I
yeah,
still do it. Yeah. I've got
yeah,
a loop, which is like a magnifying thing.
yeah.
It's just in my bag all the time. So anytime I'm out and I see something, I'm just like getting in there.
Is it attached to your, is it one of them where it's you can attach it to your mobile? Because I've wanted one for ages.
No, you can't attach it. I have got one of them and it's rubbish.
Oh, I thought
But
that's
what yeah, no, what I do is I just hold it on the back of my mobile with my fingers, because
yeah,
you move it around a bit, because the sunlight sometimes goes in and then and you can't see, so you've just got to wiggle it about. But the one that you attach, it didn't work very well.
I know.
It's a photography loop. It was Tom's from when he was at uni, and it's what they use to look at negatives, you know, when they look close
Yeah.
up. So if you want one, just search photography loop, and it's Loupe.
Yeah, because that's what I do. I'm thinking how you spell it, and then I'm just like
Yeah,
realizing how you spell it.
like my last
Yeah,
name,
yeah,
but with
yeah.
an L instead of a C.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've been getting that a bit recently, but I mean I've seen a lot of outside of myself where it's like and I've been getting it again for the past 4 years, Renaissance, um, sacred geometry and things like that. And it's funny because I feel that this kind of, when you go and start delving into these things, it kind of starts plucking that inner wisdom that we've got within us. And I think that's what we do as artists. It's almost like we might be the way showers in the art and creating, and then it creates on the outside. But we
Yeah,
also like, it's plucking out stuff that we've got deep within us that it's almost like going, come on, show it out outside.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Then
yeah,
it has that vibrational essence of your heart and your
yeah,
wisdom coming out on canvas.
yeah. There is. I feel like it's like a connection to source, and then what's inside you, and I imagine it like a almost like a beam of light or something, where all these ideas coming in from everywhere all through your life, and then you store them somehow
Yeah,
inside, and then at
yeah,
some point something triggers it, and then it just comes out, and you
yeah.
don't know what's coming out
No,
sometimes,
no,
which is really hard to describe to other people,
yeah,
you know. And I find it sometimes frustrating if I get in my head and I think the picture that's in my head is not what's coming out on the
no,
canvas. And you've just
no,
got to trust it, haven't you? You've got to
yeah,
trust the process that
yeah,
it's whatever comes out is coming out.
yeah, I know. And I've had that quite a few times, and this is really interesting, and probably maybe next time chat about that, where you like do something and you're like, not really that keen on that. But again, like you say, it's meant to be that way for a reason.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think when you what do you call it? Where you surrender to that,
yeah,
when you surrender to that, that's when the better work comes. Not that there's a better or worse, but
yeah,
your more accomplished pieces that you feel
yeah,
satisfied with, when
yeah,
they come out, I think.
yeah, yeah. So we'll delve into a bit more about the plants and stuff, and like, the inner wisdom of plants. And for some reason, I was a bit nervous getting on here earlier, because I was like, I've kind of not tuned in because I was rushing around. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think I touched on it last time where I did a live not quite so long back, and I just get little things like we talked about weeds. I don't even actually like calling them weeds now, but But because that's a program, and oh, that's what you were saying. This is really interesting, and that's why my universe is bringing this up now. I've got goosebumps because it's the wisdom that you touched on a little bit, and we said, oh, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So that live I did, I literally got, because I was in like, and that's what's great about nature, and I feel about what's happening with nature right now, and probably always was, but I'm just picking up on it more and more, is that that's when we're getting even more downloads outside as well, and bringing that inner wisdom, you know, up to fruition. But anyway, I did a live, and what was I going to say, that all I got was that every weed and every plant on the earth is for us to eat, that's benefiting our bodies. And also, I also got that weeds were actually the most potent.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And that's why they're called weeds, because they wanted to throw us off from using them, same as with mushrooms. We could have a whole conversation about mushrooms, can't we?
Yeah.
I know you're proper mushroom, and I love them. There's so many things you can do without mushrooms. Anyway, let's go back to what you touched on last time, which was about, I think you were touching on about the witches, weren't you, of wisdom?
Yeah, so I found out that the word weeds came in around the same time as the witch trials. So before that, they were just plants. They were just plants and herbs that wise women used medicinally and to eat and all that kind of stuff. And back then, a lot of people had that connected knowledge to the plants, and everybody still has that now, but they've become detached from it because of all the commercialism and everything else. So the word weed was they were deemed weeds in that time, and at that same time there was the witch trials. So any wise women that were using herbs and things like this and plants, it was seen as a bad thing. So then that's when it started, and then not I can't remember the timeline, but after that, a lot of the women that were midwives and herbalists and wise women of the village that would cure people, the Royal Society for Doctors had started up, and that only allowed men in. So they wanted to eradicate the women's knowledge and use it for themselves. So it became a bigger thing that weeds are bad. Don't use weeds, they're bad, they're harmful, they're invasive, all this stuff. And then at some point, someone's cottoned onto this and thought, oh, I know, I'll invent weed killer, which not only kills the weeds, but poisons everything else, and kills off everything else. And then if you've killed off all the beneficial things, then you get poorly. Then what do you need? Medicine, which then ties into the doctors. So it's like this ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, you can see.
Thing.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's
Yeah.
quite potent. That's quite potent stuff in itself, and it kind of makes, it's very logical that's part of the programming, and also to keep the divine feminine out of the way.
Yeah, definitely.
And like to make it a man's world. And just for viewers who will see this later, it's not about men, it's not about women, it's about all being equals.
Yeah.
But so they made it more the divine masculine as opposed to the divine feminine, when we actually got like the big creations, haven't we?
Yeah, originally it was women that made all the creative things. So women originally made all the pottery, and it was only when they invented the wheel, the potter wheel, that men started getting involved in pottery. Before that, it was a women only thing, and this shows throughout history, or her story we'll call it, that it was all the women that did all these things. And that's not to say they were better than the men, but the men were busy going out and hunting and doing all the man stuff.
Action taking.
Yeah. And that's what they were doing. And then at some point, some men, because obviously we're not generalizing that it's all men, because there was men that got killed as witches as well. It wasn't just women, but it was mainly women. They took it on themselves that they wanted to be the power and the greed, and I think that's what takes over. And then it got out of balance.
Yes.
Originally it was in balance and it got really out of balance, and now it's starting to come a bit back. I think in some things we've gone out of balance the other way. And this doesn't sound feminist at all, but I think with like the 50s and stuff and 60s where women started to get more rights and go out to work, I think there's this other balance now that actually a lot of women are struggling, because not only do we have to look after children, look after the house, do all the women's stuff, we have to do work as well. Where originally the man went out and earned plenty of money for everything, and the women stayed at home and did the women's stuff. Now, I'm not saying that women should stay at home and do the women's stuff, but I think it's kind of got out of balance of what the roles kind of are. And I think originally, back in the tribal days and stuff, women and men had roles, and they did their roles and they did them very well, and it worked.
Yes.
Life worked.
Yes.
And I do feel at the moment a lot of life is not working.
Yeah.
You know, a man can't just go out to work and get the right amount of money to pay for everything, because they're not being paid enough. Some are, obviously, CEOs of stuff, but I mean ordinary people. So there's this imbalance all the time. Gone right off on a tangent, haven't I?
It's okay.
But I want to
you meant to.
I want to bring it back to another thing which I found was really interesting, back about men, what you said before. King James was the person, the king James. No, that's wrong. King James changed the Bible and took all the women out, and the ones he left in as prostitutes. That was that king.
Including Mary Magdalene.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I don't think so.
No, I don't either. I think she was like equal with Jesus as a healer and
she was.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was King Louis. But don't quote me on this. But it was a king.
I think there's something quite a bit on King Louis.
Is there? So I think it was him that wanted to see his wife giving birth. And that's when women were told that they had to lie on the backs with the legs open so he could view it. He could view the birth canal, because it was a bit of his fetish. He kind of liked it quite a lot. And then after that, he declared that all women should lie on the backs to give birth. Now, if you're a woman that's given birth, you know that that's a really awful position to be. It's not natural to be led on your back while you're trying to get a baby out. You know, you should be squatting or on all fours.
Or awful coming in my head. I just had something awful when you were. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right.
I just had something awful that come in my head right now, and I'll. So what I've just got from my heart was this: the reason why they had the legs open was because if someone's in more of the dark than they are in the light, and I've dealt with this a little bit recently, that they siphon off the sacral energy for the dark aspect of things, let's put it that way, without going too deep into that, because that's a whole subject matter on its own. So that would kind of figure. And I think there's probably something else as well that's like, to do with it, the opening and that as well. But I know, because you're great for this, because you go like through all the history and things like that with having your group and that on Facebook, don't you? I have a Facebook group for art, and I think you have one for the ladies as well, don't you? Or is that a separate?
Yeah, a Moon Sisters group, yeah.
And so you kind of do all that, don't you, and research and share things, and that is quite interesting actually. What was I going to say? Yeah, because I think you said about women, it's better for them to be stood up when you think about it. Gravity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, squatting or holding on, or
like having a poo
on all fours. Yeah, or on all fours, because the gravity pulls it down.
Yeah.
But if you're laid on your back and you're trying to get something out that way, but I mean, so there's loads of instances of that where, because of a certain man, they've then put those things onto a woman, and then it's carried on all the way through, you know.
Yeah. So we've gone from nature, gardening, But that's what I like. Do you know? And that's why I like these conversations, because our universe has taken us this direction. Do you know?
Yeah, and it's all connected, because
Absolutely.
more women have been taken out of the equation of being connected to nature and our natural cycles and birth and all that kind of stuff. The
Yeah.
more detached we've become and it's become sterilized, then the more we're not in tune with nature and plants and what's going on. And I do believe, and this is why I do this work, I do believe that the more connected somebody is to nature, the kinder a person they are, the
Absolutely.
better a person they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's more awareness then of the
Love.
bigger picture.
Yes. Love for,
Yeah,
and actually the gratitude is not particularly what you can get, what you receive and stuff like that. You know, and I know you've been in the same position as me where you've had that lack. And actually that's the great thing about it, because it makes you appreciate them little things and
yeah,
kind of carry
definitely.
on that. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
getting back to what did you say before, where you talk about the yin and yang, and that would make sense with how they wanted the future of the world to be.
mm,
I can't remember exactly what year, what time, space and continuum it was, as I guess it doesn't matter, because you know we're in the present moment. But you know, the yin and yang is always meant to be there. I don't know why I'm going like that. uh, the yin and yang is a necessity for life, including our
yeah,
vessel. Well, it starts with us first, yin and yang of divine feminine, divine masculine. And so you can see how that's carried out by what you say, women having to do that. So for instance, like single mummies having to, so therefore what happens with that is she's a nurturer, and the only time she gets to nurture is after the kids, say hypothetically kids go to school or whatever, that she's only got them few hours in the evening, because she's probably busting her backside off in the day, being more in a divine masculine than
yeah,
in a divine feminine.
definitely.
You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
like, actually you're right, because so what I was seeing was that we are the biggest creators. So we are the ones that we create it from our wombs. And I know you'll get this, and I know you'll have your speak your truth on this. And so we are the creators. So when we've created in unison, say for instance with a partner, or you know, whatever you want to call it, I don't like saying partner, your beloved, your other half, then because it's like twofold, and because he'll be in his divine masculine and you're in your divine feminine, if you're just being and in your flow, you're bringing it in, because you're being like a magnet.
yeah,
You're being a magnet and you're bringing it in. They say, I think where we're heading, well, certainly where I'm heading, is in nothingness is everything.
yeah, I'd agree with that completely.
I mean, in nothingness there is everything, but you know, if you kind of like still in that, you know, mindset sometimes of like, because that's it, is the programming, it's releasing the programming. Sometimes your heart knows that, but you've got
Yeah,
to release that programming. And I know that's
yeah,
something that, you know, I'm kind of looking at the moment, releasing that programming, just learning to I've put everything out there. I've done everything because I've been a single mum like yourself. And it's like now, you know, and I'm like, well, what else can I do? And I think that's where we sometimes play hokey cokey with the universe and like manifesting, because we're trying to control it because we're so used to
yeah,
doing that. And that's
yeah,
the divine masculine aspect.
definitely.
I think. Yeah.
I think I agree. When I met Tom, I was a single mum to three boys, and I'd been a single mum for 8 years, and I didn't know about any of this then, but I was very in my masculine. And what I realised was eventually, after a lot of counselling and self inner work, that I was still in my divine masculine with Tom, who was also in his divine masculine. And there was this, I always walked first, I always opened doors first, I always did it, not because I was conscious of it, But that's what the life that I'd lived, being on my own. I was mum and dad, and I was both things. And then I had to relearn or unlearn to let go of some of my masculine, to allow the feminine in, and that felt like a weakness. That felt like if I let my feminine in, it was a weakness, because it's like your divine masculine is like a shield that you know, and that was a real unlearning and a very interesting one to bring in that balance. And I still have to keep myself in check now sometimes when I think, hang on a minute, you've stepped too far over the line, bring it back. And I think practicing tantra has made us really allow us to fully surrender and step into those roles of being completely masculine and feminine, and coming together in an equal partnership. And when you said about in the nothingness there's everything, that's what I love about tantra, because in that time, your brain, you're not thinking, there's no thoughts, it's all heart centered. You're not even your body. It's like, I remember years ago, God, I can't even remember how many years ago, 20 years ago or something. No, less than that, about 18. I'd gone to London with my youngest, and there was what I'd call a wishty shop. So it was like a hippie shop with Buddhas in and all stuff like that.
It's like
Yeah.
a sticky shop.
Yeah. And I didn't, back then, there was none of this. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know anything. And I'd gone in this shop and I loved it, and it felt really lovely. And they had these free CDs, and it was Ravi Shankar, and I didn't even have a clue who he was. And I'd come home and I'd said, I've got this free CD, we'll listen to it tonight when the kids go to bed. And it was a mantra, and the mantra was, I'm not even the body, I'm not even the mind. I'm not even the body, I'm not even the mind. And it was this Ravi Shankar sat there with his sitar playing, and that's all he was saying. And he's like this, I'm not even the body, I'm not even the mind, I'm not even the body, I'm not even the mind. Well, me and Tom were laughing our heads off. We were like, who's this guy? What's he doing? And I've still got that CD from all them years ago.
Yeah.
And now I know what it means.
Yeah.
Now I know what it is. And
yeah.
But, and it was hilarious how these little things come to you over your life, but you don't have a clue what they are. And now I just love it.
I know. We've got to stop. Pause. I'm having to have my heart right open because I've got energy just going through. I can't think what to say now. Meant to be a question. I think we were talking about, that's what I was going to ask, about the plants and that. And have you done any kind of like herbal remedies? Oh, you have. I know you have. Thank you, my universe, for showing me that. Done some herbal remedies that's benefited you from plants?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Anytime that I start to feel like I'm going to be ill, we take echinacea tincture. That's the first go-to, without a doubt. Every year I make winter tonic. So in autumn I gather all the berries, all the elderberries, blackcurrants, blackberries, everything, make a really nice winter tonic. And I think I need to make more, because for the past 2 years it's already all gone because it tastes delicious. But you're meant to just have a bit every day, and we're like, just a bit more, just a bit more. Yeah, there's all sorts of things. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort my. That's it.
All right. Yeah, so, and things like hot flushes, sage tea. I grow loads of herbs and plants and weeds in the garden for all sorts of things. If you've got a sore throat, some thyme infused in some water. Yeah, it's just my go-to for everything.
Yeah. Thankfully, I'm at that point where I don't get any pain anymore. Or
no, I don't.
Nothing.
No, I get headaches. That's what I get, headaches.
Probably downloads, aren't they?
Well, I'm not sure.
Have a headache.
When I did it could be. But when I did my gallbladder flush, I came on my moon time the day after, and I did not get a headache. Now every other month I get a headache. So I think it's something to do with either something that I was eating or some toxins that were stored in my body somehow. So I think next time I'm due on my moon time, I'm going to do a flush a couple of days before to flush my system out and see if it makes a difference.
That's interesting. Yeah. I know when I was having, you know, you call it your moon time, that I used to have like bloating, you know, the boobies, you know, swelling and all of that. Delightful. And then what I noticed was drinking more water. And when I drank more water, I mean, I like water anyway, but you know, it's quite easy to slip into doing this, and this when you're like, you know, single mummy and stuff. And then you realize that I realized that having more water than you would,
yeah,
alleviated all that bloating and stuff. I guess you were just like flushing it out.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Because I used to have really bad pain, but now a few days before moon time, Tom gives me a wound massage. I've got some moon time oil that this lady made. It's gorgeous. It smells really lovely, and so it stops cramping. It gets rid of all the knotty, muscly bits, you know, in your womb space. Also, as well, I just want to say, if anybody's watching that doesn't have a womb, if you've had a hysterectomy, you've still got an energy womb. You know, even when you've stopped your moon time, you still have cycles. You still go through those cycles. So when we're talking about our womb, it doesn't actually have to be a physical womb either.
Yeah. When you think about energy and how energy is, this is merely a vessel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I saw something about, oh, I tell you what's a really good example of that. I'll just share a little story. So slightly deviating, but on the same genre of energy. And you're talking about the womb and that. My nan, she had both her legs amputated, fagging it. She was hilarious, but anyway, we won't go into that. Strong woman. But and I'm a Yorkshire girl originally, right? And she was hilarious, swore like a trooper. And when she lost her legs, and she shared this with me, and I know she's with me, you know, quite a bit on this journey of mine. And she said, so they put her, when she went back in her house after she'd lost her first leg was taken off, she went in bed. She said, she's the way she told it. I hope I'm not hyping it up too much now. And she said I fell on the floor. She said I got out of bed and I fell on the floor. She said, because my brain was still telling me that I had my leg. She said a lot more profanities than it was like every other beep, beep, F, beep, beep. Do you know what I mean? But she was hilarious. She was like, and she was just took it in her stride, like, because she said her brain was still telling her that she'd still got her leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that figures with energy. Actually, she came through the other day and she said, I've got my legs back, cocker.
Oh.
I know. It was lovely. And I was like, thank you, Nana.
That's lovely.
I think if there was ever a woman that, you know, is such a power of strength, was my nan.
Yeah.
Really. And she spoke her truth as well. She did not mince her words by any means. And I think with her story, not that I need to go into that, but with the story that she went through and her roles reversed with my granddad. Do you know what I mean? And it can see how she became, and this is the thing, I think that's where we're going with all this. Our journeys shape us into, it's almost like we were that, life happened, and then we're getting back to who we still are, but getting rid of the bits that we acquired, the backpack, so to speak, and that energetic value that we don't need anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then we come back to who we probably were before the rubbish bits happened, which is great. You know, because I was thinking like, oh my days, I was feisty. Someone actually said I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder. It's like, Well, I'm not taking it off anytime soon.
I'll add a bit of salt and vinegar, thanks.
Yeah, you don't like it, I'll throw it at you, you're all right. I know, and I think so my universe just showed me coming back to that, and it's like a bit like the Fibonacci sequence, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, which you can see taking it full circle in nature everywhere.
Absolutely. And that's what I think coming back to the nature aspect of, you know, sacred geometry in plants. So I'm starting to look at that more again and go back into nature, you know, smelling. I don't know about you, my senses have got stronger. As soon as I go out that door, it's like, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. You know, like flowers, you know, after it's rained, but it's sunny and you just got out first thing. And you're just hit by this pungent, different aromas. And it's like, it actually excites me because I'm like,
yeah, it's lovely.
And I think that's the thing. And you just them, well, not, it's not just, but all them smells combined, you know, to take a moment to feel into that and just be like, before you know it, you rushed out the house and you did it. No.
Yeah. You've got to take that time, haven't you?
Breathe it in because it's close. I mean,
yeah, it is.
You probably know you know, the kind of what it does to your body. I've not kind of got that information coming through. On a deeper level, it does something same as touching soil, and that with your hands, it helps to alleviate the decompression or depression as people disease, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. When it's rained, that smell after the rain, it's called petrichor, and the rain has brought everything down, and then I think I always get this the wrong way around. I think it's the negative ions that are good for us. The same, as when that comes off the sea and the rivers and all that kind of stuff. So it's like a cleansing. It's really, really good. And and putting your hands in soil or grounding on the soil with your feet, it's just so good for your body because it gets rid of all the excess electric energy in your body and it dispatches it into the soil, so it takes it away from you. So if you're ever feeling not nervous but like a bit frantic, you know, if you're a bit frantic, there's too much to do, go and stand on the soil, put your feet on the soil and just breathe in it.
We're well into the grounding.
It's so good. And that's just reminded me about the trees as well. Trees give off, this is amazing. So trees give off terpenes between 3 foot and 10 foot. That's the only bit where they give off terpenes. And that's the size of people, you know. So in the summer, when it's warm and it's lots of light, they emit the terpenes, so you can just walk past them and you get that, and that's really good healing for your body. But in the winter, when there's less sun and there's not enough leaves, the terpenes stay within the bark, which is why you hug the trees, because when you hug them, you get the terpenes from them.
I love your wisdom, and that's why I'm talking about it, because I knew that. Because this will end up triggering up mine, like the negative ions. I did all that with you know, when I first started on my journey of collecting driftwood and that off the sea, and I was at my tip top, and that's what my universe is showing me. Get back doing that. So I used to get up at like 5 o'clock, and I was like, sometimes I never even used to go to sleep because I was so excited to go to the beach.
I love it.
My universe more recently, you know, I think you probably find that, and I'll touch on that in a bit and throw it back to you, that your universe kind of does a full circle and then shows you all the little bits along your journey and how it's formulated where you're going next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that little lotus flower opening up, thank you. and what I came to realise is I was bursting. I'd not seen my daughter for ages, and she'd come up and we'd resolved our stuff that we needed to. And she came up and she was like, Mum, you're looking really great. And I was like, do you know what? I feel really happy with myself.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with myself. And my universe more recently showed me that it was because I was out in nature nearly every single day, and I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the beach, again, we were talking about the negative ions and stuff like that, and the sun and the beach and the sand and the waves and the energy, the calming of the waves for your mind, and being out in nature, because we touched on that last time about how great nature is for the mind. Because I really do feel that that's part of the matrix. You know, when I feel like my universe has shown me this more recently, slightly deviating, but coming back to that when we're in a house, it's almost like our brains are in a pressure cooker.
Mm.
And do you remember the old pressure cookers your mum used to have? And you used to get a tea towel around bit of a fork and lift it up, and it would go. That's why she used to do it, because steam was coming off. And I really do feel that our heads are like that. When we're indoors, it's like compounding. And it's almost like the matrix within a matrix. And I really feel that that is true. It's like you're in a matrix within a matrix in your house. So when you go outside, it's like, woo, the Harry Potter moment. Woo, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so your brain just like, and rest. And you're like,
Definitely.
all right.
Yeah. And that's true. That's like scientifically proven that your parasympathetic thing in your body, when you're outside, you do rest and relax when you're in nature.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is proven. Also, I think in your house, there's so many chemicals in your house. Even if, like me, I am only using natural stuff, there are still loads, like coming out of your flooring, out of your carpets, you know, and let's add on all the Wi-Fi, all the stuff that's coming out of electrical equipment. So it's no wonder we feel like that.
Yeah.
And then in nature, we're just like, ah, oh, so good.
And that's, I guess, what my universe has been sharing with me. We are the nature. It starts with us. We are the nature. You cleanse, clear, and, you know, create your vessel in such a way that it is totally clear of, you know, I know we need yin and yang of darkness, and we do, but, you know what it's like early on in your journey. It's like you've probably got a little bit more darkness than you actually really need. So we need to balance it out, release all that by doing our shadow work. You're bringing in more of your soul essence. And my universe has been really sharing that with me more recently, that we are nature.
Yeah.
And what we put into our bodies and how we treat our bodies, bringing more of that real pure essence of our soul. That imagine, like, if we were in tip-top condition within our bodies, how the earth would be if every single person on the planet looked after their vessel, don't put rubbish in their mouths, you know, and we all do it, you know. Even sometimes I am a bit of a nibbler, do you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, all right, I know, but I like it because it's that program still releasing that we don't actually need that, you know.
Yeah.
And going back to eating more, you know, organic plants from our gardens, you know, that pure energy from food that's been out in the garden. We are nature, nature is us, and it's all encompassing. So my universe has been sharing with me that if everyone was in tip-top condition, it shows on the outside, because everything starts with you. What's going to happen on the outside?
Yeah, it'd be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
Bloody amazing, loving, gorgeous, lush world we live in.
Yeah, it really would. It really would. Because look at tribes people, for example, that live in the rainforest before idiots went over and chopped loads of it down. But you know, they live in nature. They are actually in the nature. Look how healthy they look. Yeah. Look at, you know what I mean? Look how they take care. It's a symbiotic relationship, isn't it, between nature and themselves? Because and this is what really annoys me about people. They don't understand that you're killing things like weeds, for example, which then has a massive effect on killing loads of other stuff and poisoning the soil and the water and blah, blah, blah. That's going to affect you.
Yeah.
You're not just doing,
absolutely.
You know, there's no backwards and forwards relationship, is there?
And that's the thing about, sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
And this is the thing about Mother Gaia. everyone's saying, oh, Mother Gaia needs to rise, Mother Gaia needs to rise. I don't think anyone's realizing that Mother Gaia is, so you've got like the sorry, getting a bit technically, it might need another one. The sun was like the male and female form. My universe showed me this. The sun is the male and female form, and it kind of decided to go like that, and then it went like a burst of all these little fragments. Now all these little fragments decided that they were going to have their own experience. So these fragments came into the vessels. However, you know, time period it was, came into vessels. It's just what I'm simply sharing what my universe has shown me, came into vessels. And then everyone's having their own experience. So bearing in mind that Mother Gaia is like the epicenter. So if everyone looks after their vessel, and all these fragments came from Mother Gaia. Then if everyone looks after the vessel and shapes it up to cleanliness, Mother Gaia will, and as well as her own, come back and tip top.
Yeah.
So
it does make sense.
Everyone's responsible for Mother Gaia by their own vessel. Thank you, my universe.
Yeah.
There's a little bit extra there, and I've got goosebumps. There's a little bit extra there. It's just shown me, thank you, about how it came into the vessels. That was extra. I'm like, thank you for that.
It's true, isn't it, though? It's so true. It is true. And all this, I'm going to be controversial here, but anyway, all this nonsense about climate change, I just think that is a man-made thing, as we know. Look at lockdown. I don't know how different it was for you because you was up in Scotland.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because I still had a little bit of it in Blackpool. I was enjoying it. I was loving it because I went seeing it. And actually, I went all over the place in my car.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Here, the canal ended up really clean. You could see to the bottom of it. It was full of fish.
Yeah.
The birds sang beautifully all day, every day. It was gorgeous. We had swans everywhere. It was beautiful. There was none of this, just like, but it's just human stuff. Yeah. It's human stuff. And this is the thing about the whole climate change thing. If humans weren't idiots and did, like you said, looked after themselves and had this symbiotic relationship, like I said, with nature, nature's perfect. If we all died tomorrow, nature would thrive. And the thing with the climate changes, and do you know what really annoys me about this? I'm not going to go on a big rant, but a little rant. Where these massive corporations all go, oh, but we're carbon neutral because we pay for the carbon. And it's like money is not paying anything. There's that Native American saying, isn't there, that about when the last tree has fallen. Do you know which one I mean? I can't remember it fully.
I think you've heard that.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I think climate change is real in the way of people are not looking after the planet. So it's changing their own climate in their town, their garden, their world. Do you know what I mean? In their space. And everybody's doing that, not looking after it. So there's a bigger picture of that.
Yeah.
So if all the massive factories stopped pumping out loads of pollutants and stuff, it would have an effect. But I think this stuff about, oh, it's getting too hot and this is happening and that's happening, I think it's just all fear-based stuff. And you know, I've been looking into alternative for energy, so like solar panels, wind turbines, all that kind of stuff, because we actually pay extra on our electric and gas because they use green energy, and I thought that was a good thing. But looking into it further and more deeply, there's not going to be solar and wind without some kind of fossil fuel in the future anyway, because that's what you need the fossil fuels to make all the components to make the things, and they don't last long. So all the wind turbine blades go into the ground. That's where they just bury them because there's nowhere, they can't be recycled, so they're going to all be buried.
Yeah.
All the batteries from the electric cars are just dumped in France. There's like this huge field filled with lithium batteries because nobody can do anything with them. Not only that, they're mining the earth, they're blowing up under the earth to dig out this lithium and crystals and whatever, diamonds and so there's no wonder there's sinkholes happening everywhere because they're blowing up the middle of the oh, I could go on about it forever.
I know, and I love it. And you know what? You know, even more so over the coming weeks, it's just going to get even more exciting because we're connecting again and we're connecting with energies, and every week there's going to be more and more coming out. It's like, so while you're explaining that, I got climate change is about your vessel. So let's take that situation that happened on the earth, because I have to watch how I say things.
Yeah.
That situation that happened, you know, a couple of years ago, whatever, and everyone was in it. What did people start doing?
Are we on about the pandemic?
Yeah,
the
pandemic. And so my universe has just shown me this, and I was listening to you, by the way, but it was showing me this very quickly as well, because I was chatting about, you know, how our bodies, So it showed me that when that happened, people had more time to reevaluate. It actually did so much great, wonderful things, and that's why you see why the planet was so great.
Yeah.
Because there was less things happening, not only on the outside, but people started looking after vessels. Do you remember how many people were talking about exercising and doing exercising at home and exercising?
Yeah.
People wanted to get out in nature because they felt compressed. So
Yeah.
so the people that didn't probably exercise before was exercising and getting out in nature. Well, what happens again if we revert back to imagine, like, if every one of the fragments of Gaia, us in physical vessel, started looking after the body, how amazing the planet would be. And this is the thing, and this is and the other thing that came through was the theses of climate change that coincide. All the rubbish that people are eating, it's the processed foods, that, you know, takeout foods, because it's building up the acidity within your body, and in order for no disease to happen in your body, it needs to stay kind of like yin and yang, in balance, a little bit acidic, a little bit of alkaline. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if that's out of balance and you're eating a lot of crap, basically, then your body's going to be more acidic, which means because your body's going to be more acidic, it's creating a disease which comes in the form of, you know, the C word, heart, you know, and that's all encompassing with, you know, things that we've acquired of emotions stored that we're not releasing and speaking our truth as we are now. Oh gosh, that came out all in one. So yeah, so my universe just showed me that it kind of makes sense that we actually are the nature.
Yeah, we are. And if everybody just took their own responsibility for themselves and their own actions and were more conscious,
that's it.
I think it'd be a much better world. But also, you touched on something really important. During the lockdowns, people had time. And this is the trouble. At the minute, a lot of people don't have the time to do this kind of stuff because they're too much in their heads. They've got to work, they've got to pay the bills, they've got to look after the kids. They don't have the time to then start going, right, well, I need to change all my stuff that I eat, or I need to change all the chemicals that I use in my home, or I need to research how air freshener plugins are really carcinogenic, so I won't use them. Do you know, it's like they don't have the time to, they do have the time because we know that time is just an illusion, but within the confines of going to work, which is a timed thing, isn't it? They don't have the time. But I think you're absolutely right. I am double the size that I was when I met Tom. I'm fat. Do you know what I mean? I'm fat. And I'm fat because when we turned vegan in the beginning, years ago, there was no processed vegan stuff. It was all healthy stuff. And then they started bringing stuff out, and I was a meat eater for years before going vegan. And I don't like meat because of what it does to the animals, but I like the texture of biting something. Lentils and everything is nice, Yeah, there's a texture, isn't there?
Yeah.
So when they started bringing out processed burgers and sausages, we were like, oh my God, a kid in a candy shop, we can eat this stuff. Then ice cream, then cake, then donuts, then all the stuff.
That's exactly why they did it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, exactly. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker because I felt like I'd missed something
Yeah,
not having it.
yeah,
But now I've realised I ache because of sugar. When
yeah,
I quit sugar, my body didn't ache. I was like a new thing. It was amazing.
yeah.
You know, I had a gallbladder issue, which I did my flush and did a detox, sorted it out. Fantastic. Now I'm going to work on not having the processed stuff because it is really chemically laden and terrible. And what, do you know what I mean? It's not good for your body. And I'm going to move back. And it's not about releasing any weight because I love my body.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
about releasing the heaviness of the
Yes.
weight.
The density, probably.
The density, yeah. Because like if I walk up the stairs, I want to just walk up the stairs. I don't want to feel, oh my God, I'm carrying all this stuff with me in my body.
Yeah.
And I also think it taps in a bit to a poverty kind of thing from being young.
Yeah.
You are only had a certain amount of food, and that's what you had.
Oh,
And then the
starve,
more money you've
starve,
got,
innit? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
get that.
And you know, pretty much 80% of our money is spent on food.
Crazy
And
prices, aren't they?
yeah, they are, but the more money that we've got in our businesses and stuff, the more we've gone, oh, we can have nice food. Let's
Yeah.
have a treat,
Yeah.
you know. But it's tipped balance. It's tipped right the other way, and we're trying our best now to bring it back into balance.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I started that. It was something that you said. I've gone off on a tangent.
It's
I
okay.
can't remember.
It's okay. It's meant to be. It's meant to be. I think we were talking about foods and where we're going with it, and you were just speaking your truth about where you were at, and that's great because there's going to be always someone that will identify with, you know, what we're saying in every given present moment. Do you know?
That's true.
Yeah. I know when I went through a weird phase of when I started going like vegan, I was like, 1 minute I was having it, next minute I wasn't. Then I tried the corn, then I tried this, and it was like really weird. So like every day, every week was different. And then pretty much before I met Adrian, I was pretty much hardly eating a thing because my body didn't really need it. And then I realized what happened, and then I started eating fish again when he came into my life. It's not to do with him, but it shows how energy works. And this is interesting because I've picked up on this myself a couple of times. That when I met Adrian, it's because his energy and my energy had come together. So I ended up, our worlds collided with energy because he was eating fish because he was getting over, you know, something that he needed to get over, and he was eating fish, and I was that's why I sat, and I enjoyed it. And I don't punish myself for it because I enjoyed it and I loved it and it was lovely. Do you know what I mean? But then I think, well, why didn't I carry on? Do you know what I mean? Now I was doing, now I'm back to that phase where I'm not eating a lot again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing was, I said to Barrett when I went out in Bulgaria, it's okay, I don't eat much. Well, Katerina has got to be the most wonderful cook, and different foods that I'd not tried. And they grow all their own vegetables, and it's amazing. I could go on about that. You'd love it. It's fantastic. You know, one of them, it's got a basement, it's got everything, it's got like everything, and da da da. I was like, it was like a proper witch's coven down in the basement for the light. It was, you know, as you go down the steps, with pumpkins and stuff like that. I was like, I was in the elements, just seeing it and viewing it and looking at it, and it was like lovely. And she's the most amazing, beautiful cook. And she gave me a great recipe actually for some bread that was kind of a bit like a rye bread that you would class in England.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Avocados and it was immense. And I was eating. I mean, I weren't putting weight on or anything, but I was eating. And I was like, I said I wasn't. So it felt like I was being, you know, hypocritical. But again, I realized now when I got home that that's what I do, and that's part of me and what I do, and I transmute things on a deeper level, it's like, so I transmute things. So to transmute that, but not absorb it. So it's like a different, so when I meet someone, I'm absorb it, but don't, my heart works in such a way, so I'm releasing stuff from their heart, from their body through my heart.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So instead of like, starting eating or whatever my universe is showing me, just learn to not pick up the habits of someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like what they call, do you remember, was it bad as, I think it's a biblical this, if I remember my Bible properly, bad association spoils useful habits. And there's nothing bad about it, actually, because it's no good or bad, but it just shows how our energy works. And when we become more conscious and aware, that we become more conscious and aware of where our energies are going, do you know what I mean? How we're feeling in every given moment when we're in connection with others.
Yeah, it's so true.
Nature.
It is so true. Yeah. When I've been camping, I hate camping, but I've been camping a few times to Conscious Camp. It's like this little festival in a field. When I go there, I only eat really pure stuff because that's what's there. That's what's available, and I love it. And every time I go, when I go home, I'm carrying this on. When I go home, and I come home, and the trouble is, there's so many options. So you end up doing all the options rather than staying in your lane of availability kind of thing. Also, thinking of Bulgaria, if they're growing all their own stuff, I wonder if their soil's better than over here, because our soil's depleted over here, isn't it? It's terrible.
Yeah.
And your body must know that food was needed for that. Do you know what I mean? In that time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I realised that. Yeah, because I was going through a lot of inner child stuff and planes, trains, and automobiles. So I know what it was doing to me. It was breaking down lots of fear of that inner child. It felt like someone had just gone like that with me as a kid and just stuck me in a wall of death kind of thing. Cancel, clear, and delete. And but do you know what? In the longevity of it, it was definitely needed to break down. But Barrett's garden is phenomenal. So at first glance you think, what a bit of a shithole, but it's not. And I know Barrett will take this in good light because he's like that. He's like a male version of me. And so what they do is they chuck the peelings and things like that, anything all over while they're growing stuff. I mean, I was there where it was like a little bit winter.
Yes, that in between.
But they're like chucking like the peels just all over the garden. It's actually quite nice, actually. It's very fairy-like as well. He's painted all his rocks and put glitter on them. It's proper magical. It's quite unique. You'd love it. And so he just chucks all his veg, paper peelings and stuff. And then I feel that over time adds enrichment to the soil.
Definitely, yeah, because it'll all break down.
We've been programmed that your garden's got to look like this. Your garden's, it is like Truman Show. It's got to look like this. It says who?
Yeah, it definitely is. I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It is ridiculous. And plastic grass, don't even get me going on plastic
what? I will hoover it. Are you off your freaking nuts?
They are. Plastic.
What? You're nutters.
Honestly.
And they think because weirdos who dress different and have our houses different think.
We're not.
Yeah.
But you're
it's not about them and us. But it's funny how we kind of observe it. Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Oh.
When you look out at the back, there's my garden, which is all green and crazy. And then, it's a yard, it's small. And then our next door neighbour, hers is all like that as well.
Yeah.
And the next door neighbour one is a little. But then anybody else's, just concrete. Yeah. Just concrete, devoid of life.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just had a little bit of a thing from wherever it's coming from me. Devoid of life. These gardens that have got plastic grass and concrete that people have been programmed to be having because it's cleanliness, to have your sterile garden, they're devoid of life. And that is what whoever it is, wants us to be. They want us to be devoid of life, because then we're good little citizens. We'll go to work, we won't question things, we'll do as we're told, we'll live in that devoid of life. Where somebody like me, who's wild and a rebel and questions everything, my garden is full of life, it's teeming.
That's it.
That's
It's about them not wanting us to have our soul, our whole. It's about them kind of like, what's my universe just showing me now? It's about giving your soul away.
Yes.
By being programmed into having your house this way, having your hair this way, having the latest trends in clothes. Because I've been down this route, and I was like, why is it I'm different? And I was like, I don't get it. You know, like you have these little moments where you like early on, why do people have to have their house? Why that grey? I mean, grey carpet's great because you know, it hides all the muck and that when you've got doggies. But like we went through it, so everyone had grey. It's like it's the most boring colour ever. It's soulless.
Yeah.
I used to go in these houses and clean, and I was grateful for cleaning them and stuff. But I was like, it's just same as last one, just slightly a different shape.
Yeah.
There's no personality.
No.
Which means there's none of your real soul essence. You're relying on outside of you. And like you said, devoid, which to me comes across as being like they just want to strip you of your soul.
Yeah.
And being an asshole in the process.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about it. They want to strip you, and this is what things like school is for, to condition you.
Point. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all that.
Yeah. We could chat all day because, like, do you remember, like, the quads? We used to love it at school. Do you remember they used to call it the quad? I have no idea why. Quad. There's something within that.
Was it the shape of it?
Yeah, quad. Yeah, it might have been an octagon. Might have been, yeah, a quad, and they used to have like tadpoles, and they used to teach you, and you know, like I have veg growing in the garden, like showing kids how, and they're like, why did they take that away?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? All health and safety bullshit, isn't it? Really.
But they grow kids to be soulless as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care at this point. Just, you know, get kids. Do you know, actually, a prime example is that I went into Auburn last week, and actually it got to my heart, and I've not shared this till now. And I was with Adrian, and we were going to get a few bits, and I went in there, and it happened to be at the time that the children were coming out from school. Well, I say children, young adults, because they were like, you know, probably about 14, 15. And I was just observing, and I was like, they're not smiling. They're not smiling. They'd literally just come out of school, not smiling, not smiling, not smiling, and I could feel them instantly. And I was like, oh my days, I don't like this. I don't like this. These kids are not happy. And the flip side to it, you know, if you're in the program, so in the matrix, so to speak, without being disrespectful, would be, but they've just finished school, it's a hard day as well. No, they look soulless.
Yeah.
Soulless. Get them outside. Teach them skills. Do you know what I mean? Teach them skills about how to create things from driftwood, you know, recycle wood. Teach them about plants, which they've probably got already within them. These kids are so advanced now, they could probably teach us, if anything. That's where we need to be at. Anyway, my time, I've got about 10 minutes left.
All right, okay.
This has been great, actually. I've got into it now. I don't know what happened before. I think my heart needed to open a bit more.
Yeah. It sometimes does that, doesn't it, though?
Yeah.
It does. And we started earlier than normal, didn't we?
That's it.
Woke up properly.
So yeah, all right, enjoyed that. I don't know if we talked. Yeah, I think we did quite well at bringing it back round to nature again. So I think that's, well, I know from my own universe that is definitely key. And on that note, I'm gonna put my little leggings. I've got a pretty dress on, right?
I love your dress.
I've got, do you know, it's one of these dresses, and it's like, it's comfy, but it's not that warm in Scotland still. So I have to put my leggings on and then my pumps on. So I look really like at the top, and then not at the bottom.
I've got my Care Bears t-shirt
on.
I
love it. I love it.
But it's really old, which is why the neck's like that. But I prefer that. I don't like things near my neck up there. But before we go,
I was just going to say, just quickly, please feel free to share your latest booklet. Go on.
oh, my
I
zines.
can't say it.
Well, zines.
Beans. I'll get it in
Yeah.
my head at some point.
I'll grab them in a minute, but before that, I want to share this with you. So it's called The Healing Code of Nature, and it's really good. And this is where I learned a lot about the trees and the terpenes in it. And a really quick story in this book. They did this study on people in the hospital. And people in the hospital that had operations and were recovering, if their windows looked at a brick wall, it took them twice as long to recover than if their windows looked at trees.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Incredible, isn't it, that?
Yeah. It just shows the consensus is nature.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely
Nature.
Yeah. That's what we need. Definitely.
Come back to the nature of us.
Yeah.
Be the art of nature.
Yeah. Definitely. It's all about nature.
But I keep putting Barrett's voice on for some reason. Oh, my darling, I really enjoyed that again.
And me too.
And I love you so much. And I'm really enjoying your love, your wisdom that's within inside, because you've got so much of it.
I know, and I often feel like it's just nonsense. Like I remember all this nonsense, but actually
it's you
together. Yeah,
it's who you are. I love you.
I love you too. See you soon.
I'll catch you soon, darling. Catch you next week.
Yeah. Bye.